This is a Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and this is episode 19. On this episode, I have one of my favorite cousins on my dad's side, Kevin. We grew up together. I've known him all my life. He's a year older than me. Thanks for being on the podcast, Kevin.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for the intro. I really appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You know, we have this running joke in the family who was the bad one. When we were younger, now that we're adults, can you just admit it was you?
Is that how we rolling? Is that how we rolling? Nah, like it wasn't really me, man. Like you were the one who was bad, especially you and Brittany. And we already know all that. We already know what the real truth is, but it's all good.
You
It's
see,
all good. I'll be the villain.
you
I'll be the villain right now. I'll be the villain right now. That's okay.
listen, listen. You just threw Brittany under the bus. You
Yeah, you
know,
did
I
right. I
didn't.
threw Brittany under the
Wow,
bus. She'd have
wow,
done the same thing to me.
wow. You,
She'd have done the same thing to me.
you're absolutely right. She would have, but
And I like how you just try to do it too. But it's okay. You're one of
listen.
my favorite cousins too.
Thanks, Kev. You know, listen. Those who know it was Kevin. But
Yeah, whatever. 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 Whatever.
you know,
Anyway. Mhm.
this season of my podcast, I've been interviewing my cousins. I interviewed Courtney and I interviewed Eric on my mom's side, and you know, it's dope that my cousins do these dope things. You know, so why not interview you guys?
Absolutely.
Um, so again, thanks for being a guest on my podcast.
Absolutely, Tay. Anything for you.
Oh, thanks, Kev.
Yeah.
So what I want to interview you about is your martial arts. You've been taking martial arts since since you were a kid,
Yeah.
but I think it has progressed and developed into something deeper for you. Like I'm just saying, I took martial arts when I was, I don't know, like 12, 13. And
Hmm.
I probably took it because of you. I knew that you took it, and one of my close friends from my building, you also,
Hmm.
he was taking it. So I was like, oh, cool. Let me take martial arts. Um, uh, I probably should have stuck with it, but
Yeah.
one of the things I didn't like about it
Hmm.
was one time we had to move up and get another belt. I had to face this girl that was in my class,
Hmm.
and instead of me facing her brother who was more of my size, even though he was a boy, he was more of my size. I had to face her because she was a girl, and
Hmm.
she was like 2, 3 years older than me, and much bigger than me. And I'm just like, what is going on
Hmm.
here? Why?
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I left that day with a headache because she kept kicking me in the head. Even though I had like the gear on, I was just like, "Yo, is this
Are you
what
serious?
is?" Yo, I was like,
Dang.
"What is going on? Like, is this?"
Yeah. Yo, that's serious, man.
I was
Dang,
like,
Tay. You never told me this. You never told me any of this stuff.
I got kicked in the head when I was 12 by.
Yeah, Tasia, like you never told me that you took martial arts, and Uncle Jesse never said anything.
I
Like,
don't know. I mean, it wasn't a long time. I think I got to a yellow stripe or orange. Oh, I don't
mhm,
even remember. I know I was more than a white belt. So it
mhm,
was white, then white stripe, then yellow stripe. So I believe I was just a yellow stripe.
yeah,
And then I was just like, you know what? Let's try something else.
yeah. So you stopped
And
taking it.
yeah, and like I said, I should have kept with it because it would have taught me how to probably be more disciplined
Hmm.
and just fitness wise,
Yeah,
and self-defense,
yeah,
so but yeah, that was my stint of my
yeah,
martial.
yeah. It's a great thing to learn, man. It's a great thing to learn.
Now,
Absolutely great thing to learn. Mhm.
now you started when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
And was it like a movie or something that you saw or your friends? What made you say, Mom, Dad, I want to start taking martial arts?
It's kind of funny, but I guess it's kind of like your cliche, I guess, answer. I was a really big fan of the Karate Kid movie whenever I was a kid. So I mean, like as you know, like that and Ninja Turtles and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like, but like I was so like I was constantly like kicking and punching stuff around the house and everything. Like I was just like an active kid. So like, and on top of that, like I wanted to I wanted to learn it. Like it was just so cool to me because other kids are into basketball and it's just like I love basketball and I mean and I could play it and everything, but it was just like I loved all types of sports, but like I've always had like a martial arts like first love of martial arts. So it started then and it also but I it really solidified whenever I got bullied whenever I was in school and started in grade school was when I got bullied like by this fifth grader. I'm not gonna say his name, but like I got bullied by this fifth grader when I was in like second or third grade. And like like I came home and my dad was just like, oh, we gotta do something about this. So like he he saw that I was always active. I was always kicking and punching stuff around the house. So he decided, he was like, you know what, like we're gonna try to put you in judo. So
Mm.
that's when I started. Like I started in judo when I was in grade school. I think I was like 6 or 7 or something like that.
Mm.
Yeah.
You definitely were an active kid. You
Yeah.
definitely, you definitely.
Shut up. Whatever, Tasia. So were you?
Listen,
Yeah.
um, so judo.
Yeah.
How is that different from karate? Because that's a different form of martial arts, right?
Correct. Yeah. So judo is mainly grappling, where they don't really use a lot of kicking and punching. Like the kicking and punching is very, very minimal. It's
Mm-hmm.
mainly grappling and throws. So it's pretty much like the standing and grappling form of it, where you are taking someone's body weight and you're shifting their body weight and you're using it against them essentially to, throw them over your shoulder, take them down, sweeps and stuff like that. Whereas karate is mainly focused on a lot of striking,
Mm-hmm.
kicks, punches, stuff like that. So, excuse me. So judo's a little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I found it pretty exciting, but as a kid, like I kept getting thrown down on my head a lot, and like I would get headaches and stuff like that. But like my dad would put me in tournaments, so that's why that was the whole thing with the Karate Kid that I mentioned earlier, to where like whoever seen the Karate Kid, like they know that in the movie, like they have tournament scenes, and Daniel gets bullied and all that other stuff, and like that's why that series is like so important to me because it resonates with my childhood about like what I went through when it came to the bullies, and then me going to tournaments and although in the movie it was a different style that Daniel was learning, whenever I
Mm-hmm.
was in the tournaments, like in the judo tournaments, like I just kind of felt that same roar of the crowd and all of that. But yeah, I had taken it for a while and I got pretty successful at it. I got pretty successful at it.
What do we call successful at it? Like,
Like so, I was the Pennsylvania state champion when I was I think 7 or 8. I can't remember. But my mom and dad still have the truth of the trophy downstairs in the basement. So like my first place trophy. But I was pretty successful at it. I was only an orange belt whenever I won that.
mm-hmm.
So that was, I guess in hindsight, like I was just like, wow, like that was an awesome accomplishment. But when I was a kid, I just knew about first first place was cool. Like I didn't really notice I didn't really think about the impact that it had, I guess, at the time. But yeah, like I was first place, like, and there's a picture around the house somewhere of me on the little high risers and stuff like that. But my mom would my mom would say, she was like, oh well, like, like she's not like the biggest sports fan, as you know. So like she would get attitude sometimes, because she didn't want to be there on a Saturday morning. You know, Obviously, like she didn't want to be
Mm-hmm.
there on a Saturday morning watching me, do like judo for, half the day. But like she said that she got tired of it because I kept winning. And that's what she said. So she said she got tired of it because I kept winning. But like I ended up stopping judo like after a while because I kept getting headaches after being thrown down a lot. So yeah.
Mm.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know that you were state champ.
You didn't know that?
No, no.
Yeah, like it was like it was like in like the kids division or something like that. Like I gotta ask my dad, but yeah, I got the trophy downstairs in the basement somewhere underneath all that stuff that mom got down there. So yeah. I thought you knew that.
No, I just knew that you took martial arts.
Uh
I didn't know the extent of it. And
mhm.
shout out to Aunt Linda. She's a listener of the
Yeah,
podcast.
mom. Yeah,
But no, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that. So
yeah.
then, what did you take next? You stopped that. Then what came
Um,
next?
so man, that's a really good question. So I stopped for a while, and I got into basketball, and I was playing basketball, not on, like a team or anything, but just like recreational basketball. I got really good at that. Or at least I thought I got pretty good at it. And then I picked it up back. Like I've always had a love for it. So
Mm-hmm.
like I still remembered like a lot of the stuff that I was taught from judo,
Mm-hmm.
but I picked it back up again whenever I was in a little bit in college. I started a little bit in college. So like I had like a really long break. Um but I started it again in college in 2001, 2002.
Mm-hmm.
And that style was Tang Soo Do, which is a Korean form of martial arts. And it kind of goes along with Taekwondo. It's just another art form. So I started with that, and I I got all the way up to the brown stripe, which was two levels away from black.
Mm.
Yeah. So and the reason why I stopped was because like I graduated college and then my instructor moved and then I moved back to Pittsburgh. So it was a lot, but I was determined to keep going somehow, some way.
Now, what made you choose that form?
Tang Soo Do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was the only one offering. Only one offered on campus
Mm.
at the time. So like my instructor, Master Ray, he would have like classes in another portion of the gym, not the main gym where they play basketball, but another gym. He would have classes there, and I remember just walking by one day and being and thinking, well, man, like I didn't like that love for basketball that I thought that I had.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was trying to be like everybody else, like, oh man, like, you should ball, blah 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 blah. And it's like, I try to devote that much attention and that much focus to it,
Mm-hmm.
like I did martial arts, but it wasn't really, it wasn't really clicking. Like, like I felt like I was being called back to it, I guess you could say. So in
Mm.
college, I went back into it, and that was the only one being offered on campus at the time. So yeah, I started doing that. Fell back in love with it. I don't think I ever fell out of love with martial arts. I think put it on a hiatus. Yeah.
Mm, wow, I like that. You put it on a hiatus,
Yeah.
and that's cool that your college offered it.
Yeah, absolutely. I was shocked. I didn't even know they offered it. Yeah, like I didn't, yeah, I didn't like it wasn't like I think it was, and I think I remember like signing up for it in my sophomore year, and like it was on one of the courses that like you could choose, I guess, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, like I didn't even know that like that it was being offered. Like it didn't even give the style; it just said martial arts.
Mm,
So I was like, okay, awesome. And I'm still in touch with my my seafood today.
wow,
Yeah. So
that's pretty cool.
thank you.
One of the courses offered in my college was bowling. We had a bowling alley.
I'm
So,
terrible at bowling. I'm
so I,
terrible at bowling, man.
I was bowling. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
snap, that's pretty cool. Hmm.
yeah. I'm terrible at bowling.
And well, I'll post the pictures. But Kevin, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Right. So just imagine, right?
Mm-hmm.
He I'm talking to the listeners, right? Like
Oh.
you're walking around, people are like, hey, you you play ball, right? Like you should play ball. Like
Hmm.
he's like, nah, I'm a martial artist. So
Yeah.
you just gotta think like how long, like I could be down the block and then Kevin can like put his leg up and kick me. That's
Shut up. That's what everybody be clowning me about that. Like my long legs, my long arms, all that. You know what I'm saying?
okay. So after you get back, after you get home from college,
Hmm. Yeah.
what's the next form?
Um. So after I get home from college, I still keep in touch with my seafood. Seafood is master in master teacher or whatever in Chinese. So, but at the time he was just Master Ray. So when I get back home, like I still want to continue it, obviously. So and Master Ray's in Virginia Beach, and I'm in Pittsburgh. So I have to, like I'm just like, man, you know what? Like I want to continue. So what I would do is I would go down. At the time, I didn't have a car. Whenever I graduated college in 2005, so um, what I would do was um, once I got a car, I would drive back down to Virginia Beach periodically to kind of like train with
Mm,
Master Ray and just attend. Like he had open workouts on Wednesday nights, and like the open workouts we would do weapons forms. We would do like we would do some sparring, we would do patterns, we would do, and like for those who don't know, patterns are kind of like katas, to where like you're doing certain movements, and it's to simulate what you would do in an actual fight.
mm,
um and there's different forms of katas that lead you up to different belts, but anyway, um so like on the Wednesday night workouts, he would have those even when I was in college, and I should have mentioned this, but he would have those Wednesday night workouts even in college. And like we would go there. I would go there after class every night. Well, sorry, every Wednesday night I would try to go there after class and just learn all that I could, because I I loved it. And like I think that probably when I was probably toward the end of my college career, and like after I've left college and moved back to Pittsburgh, I knew, I was like, man, you know what, like this is something that I am in love with. Like I love martial arts and combat and taking care of myself and all of that. So when I moved back here, like I said, once I got a car, I was able to make arrangements with Master Ray and drive down to Virginia Beach. So I would literally drive from Pittsburgh down to Virginia Beach and stay there for like a weekend and just kind of go to his open workouts that he would have on the weekends, like on Saturdays and Sundays,
Mm-hmm.
because he was also a gymnastics teacher. So he had a he was teaching gymnastics and he was a martial arts instructor as well. So you know, like he actually gave me my first pair of nunchucks
Mm.
after I went down there a couple of times because he knew that I'd loved it. Like he saw
Mm-hmm.
that like I was dedicated to it, and he knew that I loved it. So I just continued on with it there, and I think it was kind of meant for me to stick around him because he introduced me to um, uh, my other Sifu, which is like my other master, is uh, his name is Professor Dill,
Mm-hmm.
and he was teaching Jeet Kune Do, which is the art that Bruce Lee or the style that Bruce Lee had developed.
Mm.
So that kind of leads right into right into that next style. Um, yeah. So he 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 was he was a Professor Dill was a former student of Bruce Lee. He never met him, but Bruce Lee had three schools: Oakland, Seattle, and I think L.A.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken. So Professor Dill was out of the Oakland school, where where a guy named James Lee, who is no relation to Bruce Lee, was, you know, teaching Wing Chun. And Wing Chun is a form of martial arts to where like you're, you know, like it's pretty much close quarter combat. So he was teaching that, and he pretty much uh, he was teaching Wing Chun, and he was teaching also like the lessons that Bruce Lee had developed through Jeet Kune Do. And Professor Dill pretty much carried that legacy along with him once once James Lee passed away.
Mm.
He continued that lesson on. So fast forward all the way to now, like I don't know how Master Ray was able to get in touch with him, but I remember Master Ray saying to me, he was just like, you know, like he had sent like the flyer to me in the mail. And he asked me if I wanted to learn Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, and I was like, oh, of course. And so like I went back down to Virginia Beach because Professor Dill was doing a seminar. And when you do seminars, like they teach you all types of stuff. So I went back down there for a seminar in 2006. I think 2006. This was like right after I graduated, 2006. And I went down there for a seminar, and I fell in love with Jeet Kune Do. So I was just building on my inventory of what I knew as far as
Mm.
like the different styles. So I don't want to talk too much. I don't want to talk too much.
So wait, so that's
Yeah.
what you're taking. That's what you're practicing now.
No.
Okay.
I've done a lot. So like, do you want me to elaborate more?
Yes.
All right. So with Jeet Kune Do, that's an art that Bruce Lee developed. Bruce Lee's Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
So I jumped into that, and I was taking that, and through the deal system, self defense systems, Jeet Kune Do. I was taking that, and I got all the way up to I almost made black sash. I'm still trying to work on my black sash. A black sash is pretty much a black belt in Jeet Kune Do, which is what Professor is, you know, teaching under his curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So I got up to senior practitioner level 2, which is I think two away from black. So I got all the way up to senior practitioner level 2, and I still have a membership with him and everything. Like I'd still keep in touch with him even on Facebook. Well, I haven't been on Facebook in years, but like that. But I still keep in touch with him. I'm still associated with him. So um, it was I was really excited to learn that. I was really excited to learn that because how often? I mean, come on, Tay. Like, how often do you find someone who was associated with Bruce Lee's, philosophies or Bruce Lee's teachings, even though he said he never met him directly, he was still a part of one of Bruce Lee's schools that he had
Mm-hmm.
within the West Coast area. So I was like, man, like I'm not passing that up. Like that's a really special time that I had in my life that I was able to at least learn the concepts of it. And Jeet Kune Do is the way of the intercepting fist. So you're pretty much hitting the attacker before they can hit you, or you're stopping the hit. It's kind of like a stop hit.
Mm.
So like it's awesome, man. It's awesome. So I love that.
So if I was to act like I'm punching you, you would be able to stop my fist. Is that what you're saying?
That's the idea of it. Meaning, like if you're swinging at me, or if you're trying to attack me, the idea is longest target longest weapon to nearest target. So um, Bruce Lee always used to say, to reach me, you must move to me.
Mm.
So he would use like whatever, like the longest weapon that he has would reach you first. Essentially, I'm probably screwing it all up because I'm nervous right now,
It's
but
okay.
yeah, but it's
It's
all good. So like if you were swinging at me, the idea is to stop the attack before it reaches
mm.
me, but also hit you at the same time.
Oh, damn. Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, after you're learning this, right? Are
Mhm.
you in any competitions?
No, I only did competitions when I was in Tang Soo Do, which was with Master Ray, the style that I told you prior. So I was only in competitions with him. Sorry, with them. So we would go to different tournaments sometimes, and I forgot about it. Like I've just done a lot of it. So
Mm-hmm.
we would go to different tournaments with him. I think I've only been to maybe like 2 or 3, but like we would go to different tournaments, and I wouldn't. I think I did maybe a couple sparring matches and maybe like a couple forms. Um, and yeah, like so I would just do tournaments with them, but not with Jeet Kune Do. Like it was Jeet Kune Do was like strictly just learning the concepts and learning
Mm.
learning what it was about and just building upon uh you know my inventory.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jean Kudo? I don't know.
Jeet Jeet
I
Jeet
messed
Kune
that
Do.
up.
So
Okay.
Jeet Kune Do, Jeet, Kun Kune, and then Do.
Okay. So after, because there's more after this. So
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
so once you move on from this, right? Then what's
Yeah.
next? And then what? Why did you move on from it?
That's the thing. So Professor Dill, the reason why I moved on from it, I mean, like I still, try to train in it, I guess, whenever
Mm-hmm.
he has seminars. But, the thing about it is the thing I was getting so frustrated was that, like my teachers were like Master Ray was in Virginia Beach. I was in Pittsburgh at the time. But, when I left college in 2005, I moved out to Virginia, where, near
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Bill and Aunt Lee, like in 2007. So what happened was that I was getting frustrated because every time I would reach, like, at least in my opinion, like a point of success with these styles or these arts, I would always have to move, or have to,
Mm.
something was always happening. And so it's not like I wanted to stop it,
Yeah.
but like I had to, and Professor Dill was located in Oklahoma. So like he's a great guy, man. Like he was located in Oklahoma, so he would have different teachers and different martial arts instructors throughout the US that went through his program that, you know, like he named as, you know, Sifus to where they
Mm-hmm.
were able to teach everybody else.
Gotcha.
So but like whenever he would come to these whenever he would go to like I remember I he had a seminar in Jersey, and he had a seminar in New Jersey in Camden, and I went down there, and it was like a 2 day seminar. Got a hotel and everything. It was like a 2 day seminar in Camden, and I went down there for that for Jeet Kune Do, and then he had another one in DC, and I went for that one as well. So, but yeah, so uh, I still keep in touch with him to this day. But you asked what was next.
Mm-hmm.
So what was next after Jeet Kune Do? I did a little bit of Muay Thai, um, and Taekwondo, but the Taekwondo was very short lived because by that time I was already living in the area, like the Virginia, Maryland, DC area,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time I wasn't making the money that I wanted to make to afford like the monthly cost for these schools.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like super it was like super expensive. I guess back, you know, back then for me, it was like super expensive. And so I tried out Taekwondo, but you know, it was, you know, like it was too expensive for me to try to continue it. And then
Mm-hmm.
you know, Muay Thai came into play a little bit after that. I didn't really go into a school for that. Like they, you know, like this guy was teaching it. Excuse me, like this guy was teaching it at like a local gym around the way, but um I was like, you know, like I want to, you know, like I want to kind of I want to be able to go every night. And the classes
Mm-hmm.
that he had, like it wasn't really teaching that often. So um I would probably say I could fast forward to Krav Maga, which was 2016,
Mm-hmm.
2016, 2017 was when I started. No, 2018, excuse me. 2018 was when I started Krav Maga. And Krav Maga is an Israeli, I'm sorry, is an Israeli self defense form.
Mm-hmm.
So um I was in that for about 2 years, and I love that. Krav Maga was awesome. And while I was doing that, I was also boxing at the same time.
Mm. I heard of Krav Maga. Is that
Yeah,
does
Krav
that
Maga is awesome.
and, and okay, so how is that similar or different from the last form that you take it?
From Muay Thai and Jeet Kune
Mm-hmm.
Do and all those.
Yeah.
Krav Maga is pretty much it's in my opinion it's one of the most effective forms of martial arts because it kind of combines a lot of styles together, and
Mm-hmm.
you're using a lot of elbows and knees and strikes and takedowns, and you know, we work with weapons and all of that. So it kind of mixes it all together. And
Mm-hmm.
so does Jeet Kune Do a little bit, but um, you know, it's a little bit more. In my opinion, I think Krav Maga is a little bit more rugged than Jeet Kune Do, I guess I could say, if that was. And what I mean by rugged, it's like it's a little bit more dangerous than it,
Mm.
you know, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but Krav Maga was awesome because all the way up until this point, I had never learned any ground game. You know, like it was all striking because I love strikes, Tasia. Like I like, yeah, like I love striking and you know keeping my distance and you know like I love
Mm-hmm.
that. But you know like up until this point, like I hadn't learned anything on the ground, and I was just like, man, you know what? And you know, like I love UFC. Like you know, I love the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge UFC fan. So I wanted to learn I wanted to learn a ground game, like how to defend myself on the ground. If I'm ever taken on the ground, what I need to do, certain situations. And Krav Maga gives you that well-rounded aspect in that area. And I ended up going into that because I was thinking to myself, I was like, man, you know what? Like like I gotta keep going, man. Like like I didn't want like my love for martial arts to die.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it was going to, but like if you're passionate about something or you really love something, like you got to keep doing it, man. At least in my opinion, like you got to keep going. Like to kind of feed that need. Um, and plus, I love it, man. Like it's just something about it, and all the while, like you're staying in shape at the same time. So yeah, Krav was definitely awesome.
So why did that stop? Because of the pandemic?
No, it didn't stop like a lot. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Let me say this. Um, the school that I was at in Maryland, I was there for the first year. The second year, obviously like the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
happened in 2000. Well, before then, the previous place had caught fire and it like blew up.
Oh, okay. Damn.
So they had to get a new school and all that stuff. And then once they finally got everything going again, I went back over to the school to train. And but hey, like they had so many classes. Like they had this one class called Thai pads. So I was getting back into Muay Thai with the elbow strikes and the knee strikes. Then they had wrestling class. Then they had regular Krav Maga level class. So I was in level two. I was in level two class. So I got up to a yellow in Krav Maga in level two. And then the place blew up and then they had to put a hold on it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then everybody went back. And then when everybody went back, that's when the pandemic happened in,
Mm.
2020. So they, took off. And, you know, after, after they took off, after they took off, um, it was, uh, it was a little bit of a, it was a little bit of a, I guess like a slump that I was in. I was like, man, you know what?
Yeah.
Like, why is all this stuff keep happening? But also I was just like, man, you know what? Like, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. So like, I think I was running myself a little ragged at that point because I was going to so many classes, Tay, like,
Mm-hmm.
because I just wanted to soak in everything that I could, like, because I guess my ass, I guess my mentality is I want to make sure that I'm, well prepared for every situation.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that I'm Superman. It doesn't mean that, like I can, beat everybody up or anything like that. But it's just like I like being prepared, especially when it comes to, family and friends and people that I care about. You know, um, I want to make sure that I'm able to protect them,
Mm-hmm.
and to protect myself. So I take it very seriously on, like the stuff that I do or the stuff that I know. I know I joke around a lot, like me. Like I know I joke around a lot. I have fun, but like like I'm always. I would like to think I'm always aware of what situations we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that stopped because of the pandemic, and then when they finally got the new facility up and running, I went back for more classes, and then I injured myself. Like I ended
Mm.
up in wrestling class. I ended up partially tearing my ACL.
Mm.
And I didn't even know it. Like we were doing excuse me, like we were doing groundwork, and I didn't even know that it, like my ACL tore. So it's like it was a bittersweet moment because I had to stop for a second, and like I said, like while I was doing that, I was also boxing at the same time, through a friend of mine. So um, I just like all of that, man. Like I just like making sure that I'm, well rounded, and it's just a it's just a passion that I have. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
So your hands are a weapon. Your hands and your feet are a weapon. Your whole body a weapon. You're a
Yeah.
weapon.
Whatever. Well, I
You're
mean, well, one of the, like my guy that teaches me boxing, he was just like he's an older guy, but he was like, man, he was just like, he said, man, like when I was younger, talking about himself, he was like, man, like when I was younger, man, like I was a walking weapon. I was like, what do you mean? He was just like, man, uh, he said he just felt really good about whatever, like like whatever situation he was in, like he just felt really confident in his abilities.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's where I think that's what I wanted to kind of accomplish,
Mm.
not to compete or anything like that, like in tournaments or anything like that, but I just wanted to um I wanted to make sure that, you know, that that was what I was. So a walking weapon is pretty cool.
Mm.
Pretty cool.
So, all right. So now you're boxing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So how was that?
Boxing is going great. I still do it. Like we take breaks here and there because of, different situations as far as like like when I partially tore my ACL, I had to take a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of a break from them. But like we'll, in the pandemic a little bit, but we still hop right on track, and it's cool because he's a friend of mine. So even if we do take breaks, like he literally is like 20 minutes away from me.
Mm.
So we'll like we'll take breaks every now and then, but we're usually pretty steady. But he introduced me to boxing a lot more, and I just fell in love with the sport. And now it's like, okay, I have the martial arts experience and I have boxing experience too. Maybe not in the ring, but
Mm-hmm.
like I've sparred, I've sparred with, people and like with him. And I'm not learning it just to, like I'm not learning it to compete, but it's more
Mm-hmm.
like to, keep in shape. And I'm also learning the skill at the same time. So
Yeah.
I could, defend myself if something were to happen type of thing. It's like, I want to make sure that I cover all grounds of it, or at least I try to cover all grounds of it. But man, boxing is amazing, man. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Do you think you'll get back into or take another form of martial arts?
Yeah, it might be a while
Mm-hmm.
because after my ACL tear, I was like, I mean, like I'm fine now, like I can, kick and all that other stuff, like, but I was just like, maybe I should take a little bit of a break
Mm.
to kind of, um, maybe I should take a little bit of a break just to kind of give like my joints a rest when it comes to that, because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I think eventually I will. No, like I'm in love with boxing. But when I do get back into it, I'm probably gonna, because Krav Magas are really, really rough. Like it's hard on the body, man. Like it's
Mm.
really hard on the body. So I might go down, I might condense it down to maybe jujitsu or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
to where I'm on the ground, and not, not so much striking as much.
Mm.
But yep,
That's cool. That's
yeah,
cool that you've stuck with this since you were younger. Like this has just been a part of your life. This is who you are. Like this is an extension of yourself, you know.
absolutely.
Um and I knew that you were still taking martial arts. I didn't know the different forms, but I knew that you were still active in it,
Hmm.
but I didn't know like to what extent. And
Mm.
and I think that's really cool. Um
Thanks, Tay.
what do you think what does it do for you mentally?
Oh man. Whew. What does it do for me mentally? It gives you well, like for me, like it gave me more confidence in
Mm-hmm.
myself. It gave me, because it's not all about fighting and getting into different scuffles with people and, causing fight. Like it's not about that, man. Like what it's mainly about is, at least for me, what it's mainly about is, like you learn a different, it's almost like you learn more about yourself. Like you
Mm,
learn how to deal with different situations. You learn that it doesn't always have to call for fighting. Like you learn to mediate things a lot more.
mm,
Um, you it's about self-awareness. A lot of the times it's about channeling your anger and
mm,
all of that, because just because you know how to do that doesn't mean that that's what like you default to. So um it's about, like for me, it's just something that gets me, it's something that gets me out of the bed in the morning. Like whenever I
mm.
was training, it just
Hmm.
I just like, I like doing it. Um, and it gives me more confidence. It gives me reassurance that I can still kick as high as I can, or that I can still, punch, or, like do whatever, man. And it's just like, like I mentioned the Karate Kid like earlier on, and it's like, I know this may sound corny, but Mr. Miyagi says like in one of the, scenes, he was like, karate is used for defense only. And it's like, so that's pretty much him saying like, you don't just go around picking fights. Like you're only using it to protect yourself and the ones that you love. So
Mm.
it's like, I'm not going out trying to be Mr. Big Bad Man, like picking fights with people because I've studied all this stuff, like you know, it's about respect. It's
Hmm.
about, respecting yourself. It's about analyzing situations. Like it gave me a better, it gave me a better understanding of what to look out for in different situations. And, like, it's just awesome, man. I'm sure I can probably say more. Like I said, like I'm kind of nervous, but
No,
yeah.
I get it, and I can see it and understand. It's like, the confidence that you can defend yourself. You know that, hey man, you better chill out because I'll beat the hell out of you.
No,
Like, no, but
no.
no, but what I'm saying is no, but for me, right, look from the outside looking in, I think, right, when the confidence of I really get this and I understand. And if someone was to attack me, I feel confident enough to defend myself and
Mhm.
to be good at it. Or, you walk a certain way. I think you would walk a certain way, not in a cockiness, but in the confidence of, yeah, I could beat the hell out of this person if that called for, or I can really defend myself, you know, it, it, especially like, I'm in New York City and there's so much going on out here. And probably
Mhm.
all over, but
Mhm.
I just see it more so on the news. It's like, damn, someone got attacked or this happened or this happened. And they're
Yeah.
just walking down the street. Now, if you know that you can defend yourself without any weapon, or you have that like you said, your self-awareness, your surroundings, like, okay, like I think you're more aware
Right.
because of, you know like, all right, cool, this guy's walking next to me, all right, if he was to swing, I could move back, or I don't know, I just think that you are, or anyone who has taken a defense class and
Mhm.
has gone, especially to the levels that you have gone to in so many disciplines of him, um yeah, you walking next to a guy and he swings at you, you stop his arm and punch him in the
Yeah.
gut, or just restrain him. I don't know. I could, but that's my, seeing of it. Like, yes, you do
Right.
feel confident in knowing
Right.
something, that you understand something, and it does make you feel good. And I'm assuming you, your fitness, your level of fitness, because you have to take these do these different disciplines, and there's more than just the art form of defending yourself to it. There's the exercise to it. Like, I'm sure you stretch and
Absolutely.
you do other things before you get into, you know on the mat or in the ring.
Yeah.
There's preparation that you have to do. So
Right.
now, so I get it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like it's you know, like it's funny because it's like I had to get to that. I I had to force myself to I had to force myself to think like that, like because in the beginning, or I guess I could say like, you know, early on, like I had to force myself to be like, okay, Kev, like you know enough in order to do X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, I think that my problem was that I was overthinking scenarios sometimes. Like I've never
Mm,
had to use it, and you know, like I pray to God that I never have to use it because like someone always gets hurt, and you know,
yeah.
like it's just a lot of stuff. But and that's why I said that it's not always about beating people up. You know, like you use it. You know, like a lot of people take it for confidence building
Mm-hmm.
and you know mentality and you know fitness and you know all of that stuff. But you're also learning something to defend yourself. So you know, I've I've so like for example, like do you remember when me, Tar, and the kids came down to New York, right?
Yeah.
Um, even when we were walking down, even when we were walking in Harlem, like I was, you know, like my brain was like, okay, well, what if that person does this, or what if this happens here, or you know, like I want to be able to make sure that this happens there, just in case that happens here, type of thing. And it's like my brain is always constantly thinking about how I can protect the people that I care about and I love. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm, you know, like I'm always like every time we go out, you know, like every time, you know, like if we go out like as a family or something like that, you know, like if
Mm-hmm.
we go to like the movies or something, or you know, like let's say me, you and Tara go somewhere, like I'm always thinking about how, you know, if something were to happen, how can I make sure Tasia and Tara are cool? So like I'm constantly having like my head on a swivel. You may not even realize it, Tay. Like you may even, you know, like you may see me as laughing and stuff like that. And that's cool. Like but like I still try to be vigilant and
Mm-hmm.
just like remember what I was taught like way back when from my different seafoods and my different, you know, teachers or whatever. And, you know, you know, I think that, you know, I think that it's important to also, you know, say that you never I don't think that someone can be over I don't think it's healthy to be too confident because you never know what someone else knows.
Mm-hmm.
So you never know what someone else is going to do. So it's just like you know, like I don't have the mindset of, oh well, you know, just because I study all this stuff, you know, like I can kick this guy's, you know, ass, or you know, like it's not that. It's just like you never know, like you should never underestimate people.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because you never know what they may have on them. You never know what situation you're going to be put in. And I've I've always been taught that to not be too confident in, you know, like what you I mean like be confident in your abilities, but it's just like you
Mm-hmm.
don't like you like we can't control what someone else is going to do.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's why, you know, I never think of myself as, oh man, like, you know, I could kick anybody. Nah, like what I do think about is if something were to happen, you know, I need to make sure that I'm prepared
Mm-hmm.
as far as mentally. And I try to do that as best I can whenever I go out with, you know, like whomever that I care about, you know. So um, you know, I like having that type of mentality about things, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a good mentality. Um,
Absolutely.
do you do you think you'll teach? You'll get to a level where you'll start to teach, or can you even start to teach? Like how is that?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know. Like, maybe, maybe later on down the line, like whenever
Mm-hmm.
I have kids, you know, like you know, like I definitely, I've always said that it's going to be a requirement for them to at least do some type of martial art because self defense is important, man. Like, at least in my opinion, like it's important because it just gives you so many other things. Like it gives you so many things besides just learning how to hit somebody. Like you know, and that goes back to everything that I said before. Like, it gives you confidence. It gives you like self esteem. It gives you patience. It gives you a whole bunch of stuff. You know, I don't know if I'll ever teach. Maybe boxing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, I guess that's a little bit more. Like I would love to, teach boxing. Like, actually, um, Bam he had asked me to show Anina and William some stuff like a couple months ago, and like as far as like hitting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
one day, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
No, that's cool. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome, Kev. So any advice you have for people? Like, okay, so do you think people should put their kids in martial arts when they're younger? Do you think well, I guess you kind of answered that because you said, martial arts gives you so much more than just, the defense of yourself.
Right.
But I think as a kid, you know, going back to you, thinking about when you took it,
Mm-hmm.
how it helped you, and you think it helped you through all aspects of your life, starting from such a young age.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, like I would definitely, I would definitely encourage that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's the passionate side of me coming out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so like I'll be like, oh yeah, but I would say like whatever the child um whatever the child would want to do, kind of like support them in any way that they can be supported.
Mm-hmm.
Um, although I say, oh, it's going to be a requirement for my children. I mean, like, like I can't, I mean, like I can't, like I can't force them to do something that they may not want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And like if I have to be the only one doing it, then that's fine. Like that's my passion. Like
Yeah.
it. Like that doesn't mean that it's going to be the same for them. And I'm cool with that. Like I'm just here to support the people that I love and care about, and but yeah, that's what I think about that. Like, do I think it's beneficial? Oh, absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, yeah, I think it was beneficial to me too. Like I said, I should have kept going, but
Right.
I was just scared. It's just like, dang, it's supposed to be helping me build confidence and defend myself. And I guess in a way it was because now they're not giving me someone who it's like, going back to any situation, they're not going to give you someone who looks like you and the same
Right.
weight and same height as you. No, they're going to throw it, a monkey wrench in it. Like,
Right.
oh, here you go. This person's bigger than you. All right, defend yourself. It's like, oh, damn, what? So,
Exactly.
yeah, so maybe one day I'll take some classes, or maybe one day you can teach me some
Some stuff.
things.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, of course,
All
of
right.
course. I got you.
All right. Thanks,
Yeah,
Kev.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, of course, I could teach you some stuff. Yeah, I mean, I always think that it's important to give real life scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
um, because you know the way I was always taught, like the way you practice is the way you fight.
Mm.
And me, like Mr. Energy. Like I always want to, like I got a lot of energy, and I like to move fast when it comes to a lot of stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember Master Ray, the guy that my instructor that I told you about from the beginning. He used to say, and I'll never forget this. He said, "Kevin, if you can't do it slow, then you can't do it fast."
Mm.
So he was pretty much telling me to take my time and to learn, learn the stuff that I need to know. But it's always good to have because it's, like I said, things are different when it's a real life scenario, and you just never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You just never know.
Shout out to Master Ray.
Shout out to all my teachers.
Yeah, shout out to all of them. What you said?
Yeah,
Um, Master Ray, uh,
Professor
Master
Professor Dill. Yeah.
Professor Dill.
Hmm.
Bruce Lee.
Yeah, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. I'm a huge Bruce Lee fan. Bruce Lee and yeah, like I've I've met some wonderful people in the martial arts community, so to speak. Like I've met some really really great people, and I still keep in touch with a good amount of them. So
That's good.
yeah, like it's an awesome discipline to learn.
Hmm. Yeah, that's cool. And like I said, that's cool that you stuck with it so long.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
still with it, and just
It
learn
becomes a
different
part of your life.
disciplines. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It becomes a part of your life, man. So,
that's cool. Any last words before we wrap up?
any last words? Ah, man. If you're, I would probably say like whatever you're passionate about, you know, get after it and go after it. People used to tell me, "Oh, like you're in your 30s, man. Like I'm too old for that, or you're too old for that, kid. Blah 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 blah." And it's just like, nah, like I don't really subscribe to that. Like I always like to think that I can do anything that I put my mind to, and um, I think that if you think, I think that if you think old, then that's how you're gonna act.
Mm.
If you if you think that you're going to if you think that you're not going to be good at it because you're too old. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not like I can say, "Hey, Tasia, like, I'm gonna try out for the NBA tomorrow." No, like, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not dumb. But at the same time, it's just like if there's. Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I think a lot of people count themselves out because they think that they're too old for a certain
Hmm.
activity or they're too old to do certain things when like before they even try, like they just cancel themselves out.
Hmm.
And I think that if we take the time to take a step back and just think like, you know what, like maybe let me just give it a try. You might be surprised. You might be surprised. So I would probably leave everybody with that and yeah, and say that you were the bad one, not me. Yeah, yeah.
Lies, lies, lies. You
Yeah,
tell.
whatever. Whatever. We've been feuding about this for years. Like I don't think it's ever gonna be solved, but you know, it is what it is. Lwayne just left.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Man, y'all some bad, bad jokers, man, bad jokers."
You know
But
what?
whatever.
I'm not gonna throw him under the bus, but he was
Yeah,
bad. He was
yeah.
bad, and
If you're one of my favorite cousins, Tay,
thanks, Kev. You are
of course.
as well, and I agree with everything you just said. You know,
Thank
I
you.
think sometimes we let our age limit us. You know,
Absolutely,
and like you said, we count ourselves out. Like, nah, I can't do it because I'm this age.
absolutely,
And that's unfortunate for some people, but I love it when I see especially older people doing stuff and younger people as well. I'm like, dang, at that age, I'm like, I admire them finding a
exactly.
finding their passion or doing something that they really enjoy, even if they're not going to take it on a professional level, something that they really enjoy and they find it at a young age.
Right,
But I
right,
love it when I see older people just getting into something or rediscovering or getting back from that hiatus of something that they once loved. It's like Yes.
Exactly.
It does
Exactly.
something for your mind, your body, and your soul. It's like, oh man, I love seeing people out here skating. I love seeing people out
Absolutely.
here, even just walking. It's like,
Absolutely.
I love it. So yeah, you're right. Just if it's something that you want to do, something that you want to try, look into it, see how you can do it, and go for it. Like, what do I always say this? Like, this is we're going to die,
Yeah.
right?
Dang.
So no, I'm serious because I think people think that we have this all this time, and I think people
Infinite amount
think
of time.
that
Yeah.
you know we uh, we even though we like do the stuff that you want to do, enjoy your
Right.
life. Don't
Right.
say because I'm too old. Well, don't
Exactly.
don't say that because I don't have enough money. Of like you said, be reasonable. Like
Right.
you, hopefully you don't die tomorrow. You'll be here for
Right.
for a while, but enjoy your life while you're here, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, I remember asking, and I'll say this, like to kind of piggyback off of that, like I remember asking one of my Sifus, I was like, how are you? Because some of those guys or like they actually are faster, like when it comes to striking and stuff like that, because they've been doing it for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember asking Sifu Dill, I was just like, man, like how do you I was like, what's the trick to keep the speed up and
Mm-hmm.
to keep up the love of doing it? And then he was just like, the key is to never stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
He said never stop doing it. And that's how you that's how you keep up the momentum. That's how you keep up everything. It's like age is age is just a number, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's I think it's all in how you look at stuff. It's all in how you look at whatever task or whatever obstacle that you're going to tackle, and because I still have a lot of energy to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
I just choose to I just choose to be smart about the things that I try to go after when it comes to, martial arts, when it comes to boxing. Like, so you just have to be smart about it and, always be confident in your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
I had to learn that myself too.
Yeah.
So,
I'll just say this before we wrap up. One of our cousins, you don't know him, but one day I'll introduce you. And he is in his 60s. He was in a bad bike accident. He's better now.
hmm
Messed up his arm and everything.
hmm
And I recently saw him, and we were speaking about it, and he was just like, yeah, in November, I'll be able to get back on my bike.
hmm
This man's about to be 65. And that just to hear him say that was like, after this bad accident,
yeah,
he said, I'm going to get back on my bike because this is what I love. It brings
right,
me joy.
right,
It does something for me. And even though
exactly,
I had this traumatic accident, I'm going to still ride. And to me, that's like life. Things are going to happen. But I found this thing that I really enjoy. And even though all this other stuff is going around, I'm still going to get on my bike and ride because it brings me joy, brings me happiness, and I thought
exactly.
that was so dope. And I'm like, all right, cool. I have to come back because he lives in Georgia. I have to come back to Georgia and ride with you. Like that is my thing. Like we're going to go ride. So
Yeah,
we got some time. So I'm gonna come back here. I'm gonna come back to Georgia and ride with
yeah.
him.
You
So
should.
yeah.
You should, Tay. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about, man. It's like I felt the same way when I tore my ACL or partially tore my ACL. It's just like one of the first things that I asked my doctor, I was just like, so when can I get back into, boxing? Excuse me. And he's like gradually, but I decided to take a break from Krav Maga because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to re-injure it. And it's
Yeah.
just like you I mean, did I get sad about that? Yeah, because I don't like not going after I don't like not doing the stuff that I like to do,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
especially if it's going to keep me in shape and stuff like that. So like I think that's awesome. Like, yeah, like I know it's tough at the time whenever you have setbacks like that,
Yeah.
but it's important to not give up. It's important to not give up. And like I said, like I had to learn that too. So it's definitely important. I think
Hmm.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, Kevin, thank you again so much for being a guest on my podcast.
Of course. Thank you for having me, Tay. I appreciate it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. I could have said so much more, but like I'm thankful for the time that you gave me.
Listen, yo, you can come back on and get
Oh, thank you.
more in depth about uh how someone trains for maybe a competition, or
Hmm.
how someone trains for this certain martial arts form.
Hmm. Or just health period or
Yeah.
whatever. Whatever
Yeah.
you want to talk about.
Thanks,
Whatever you
Kev.
want to talk about. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is the Rolling with Tay podcast. I'm your host, Tasia, aka Tay, and thanks for listening. Want more Rolling with Tay podcasts? Well, follow on Instagram and Twitter at Rolling with Tay. Visit the blog rollingwithtay.wordpress.com for more content, and be sure to sign up for the monthly newsletter. And lastly, subscribe to the YouTube channel Rolling with Tay.